You may have seen them in gas stations, convenience stores, bars, and social halls. Machines that look a lot like slot machines, but play by a whole different set of rules. After spotting so-called skill games in states across the country, our national investigative team wanted to know, are they legal? The answer, investigative reporter Josie Sturman discovered, is incredibly complicated.
For years, Ron Foreman has struggled with a gambling addiction he says cost him everything. After keeping it mostly under control for years, he relapsed in 2020 and began gambling again heavily, eventually cashing out a settlement check from a car accident and blowing every single dollar.
I had a $150,000 cash in October, and by December I was broke.
But Foreman's fortunes weren't lost among the bright lights and loud bells of a casino. He says he bet it all in gas stations and grocery stores in Missouri on unregulated video machines that look a lot like the slots you see in Vegas. They're called skill games, and they're spreading across the nation. Those machines aren't slot machines like this one. The heavily regulated and taxed games based on luck that you'll find in casinos in states with legalized gambling. They're skill games like this one that look and sound similar. But with skill machines, players don't take a chance, they make a choice to win. And in many states, they've ended up in a gray area of what some consider unregulated gambling.
There are no regulatory restrictions on them, and they're literally hiding in plain sight.
Bill Miller is CEO of the American Gaming Association, or AGA. A study from the group estimates that in 2021, there were at least 500,000 unregulated gaming machines across the country, taking in more than $100 billion in bets.
They operate exactly like a slot machine without any of the protections for someone who might have a problem with gambling or somebody who might not be 21.
Our national investigative team spotted skill games in gas stations, convenience stores, and bars in Kentucky, Nebraska, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, and Virginia. Although some machines we saw clearly state there are age requirements to play or that ID is needed to claim any winnings, many machines have none of that and no one verifying age or barring problem gamblers from betting.
I think that's crazy and very terrible policy.
But policy is where this kind of play gets tricky. It comes down to the difference between gambling and gaming, and state laws on this issue can be murky.
I never buy into this gray area because to me, you're either legal or illegal. It's black and white. We're legal.
Michael Barley is in charge of communications for Georgia-based Pace-O-Matic, one of the biggest skill game makers in the country. He says they've repeatedly proven they're not games of chance, but those two words again, skill games that require some choice and interaction from the players themselves. And so the skill in this is essentially choosing the square that creates tic-tac-toe.
Correct.
And unlike slots, Barley says skill machine players on their games can see the outcome and know whether the next game is a winner before risking any money.
Once you get there, sometimes there's multiple combinations. You have to pick the best one.
Barley says many skill game makers and their supporters actually want regulation and are open to taxation, with business owners and charity organizations saying they've already benefited big. But people like Ron Foreman and his partner, Vicki Young, say addicted gamblers pay the true cost when it feels like these machines are everywhere they turn.
It's hard because you have hopes and dreams and you just watch them just be thrown away and for nothing.
For WBKO News, I'm Josie Sturman.
The AGA study estimates that states across the nation have lost as much as $8 billion in state tax revenue to skill games that are unregulated. Earlier this year in Kentucky, a bill to ban these so-called gray machines was signed into law.